I'm getting nervous. I'm not good on camera. For sure. I watched Christmas Inheritance last night. Do I talk to you or do I talk to camera? It's a story of a girl. If you've seen a Hallmark movie, it's like, lives in New York and she has her parents' company. And it's a company of toy manufacturers that are good. I don't know. So Toys for Tots is like, yeah, we're here to throw an event for you. She makes a fool of herself at this event. And so she's like, Dad, how can I make this better for the company? And he's like, oh, well, you know, I don't know. I've got it. And you're like, okay. And so he's like, you can deliver the Christmas letter that I have to write to my partner every year. And this time it's my turn to deliver the letter to him. So instead of me taking it, you can take it. And she's like, great, Dad, I'm so excited to do this for you. And he's like, but there are some things that you have to consider. And then I went and did some laundry. I have to only have $100. Maybe I didn't do laundry and I just skipped to this, but I can't remember. I have to have $100 and that's it. I have one-way ticket there and back, and then I can't tell anybody my name. And these are the three things. And the fiance is like, oh, good luck. Oh. And you're like, oh, like what? And she's like, okay, well, whatever. I don't care if you don't believe in me. I'll be back before Christmas Eve to go to our trip to Miami, and you'll see. Like, I'll do this letter in the amount of time with the amount of money I have. Like you. Oh, fiance is like, Ellen, do you know what kind of? Oh yeah, thank you. Ellen, do you know what kind of ticket this is? She's like, what? What do you mean? And he's like, this isn't a flight. And then you're like, all right, what the fuck is it? And then it's like 3 minutes later, she's on a bus. And you're like, all right. And she's like, I don't know how to sit in a bus. How do I sit in a bus? And you're like, sit the fuck down. So she goes and she gets her suitcase and it flies out into the middle of the street. And this guy hits it with his car. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I hit your suitcase with the car. She's like, I'm mad at you because you hit my suitcase with the car. I just thought, seriously, I need to just remember. And the guy gets out and he's like, I am also the manager of the inn. And you're like, oh yeah, it's a small town because you can't have more than one, you have to have more than one job in a small town. She runs out of money. It's like whole thing. She runs out of money, and then she's like, "What do I do about it?" And he's like, "Oh, well, why don't you become the maid here?" And she's like, "What?" Well, you know, I'm a baker. And he's like, oh, you're a baker? And she's like, too bad you don't have a kitchen here. And he's like, actually, our neighbor is a kitchen. And so he takes her to the kitchen at the neighbor's bakery kitchen. Place. And then diner. So he takes her to the diner and he's like, why don't you work here with Sue? I can't remember her name. And so he's like, hey Sue, this is Becky. She can't tell anybody her name. And he's like, this is Becky. Why don't you become a baker with Becky? And she's like, oh, this is how I can earn my keep. And then she's like, why don't you separate the eggs? And she's like, I don't know how to do that. So Sue walks back into her diner. She sees this picture of her dad and her mom, not her dad, but Becky's dad. And she's like, oh my God, walks back in the kitchen. She goes, you're Becky's daughter. And she goes, don't tell anybody. She wasn't allowed to tell anybody it was her daughter. Did I say that? She had to act like she was in no man's land. So the guy who hit her suitcase is like her love interest, right? Meanwhile, mind blown, she has a fiance, of course. But he knows she has a fiance. When she gets to to Snowfall, she... And so then they show up at a bar, and they're at the same bar, and he's like, I can't believe you got Ellen Longermeyer to do, what did he get her to do? Oh, bake cookies, yeah. It was like, I can't believe Ellen Longermeyer baked cookies. Whoa. And he's like, Lagermeyer? That's blah blah blah's daughter. And he's like, oh, you weren't supposed to know that. And it's like, all right. And so she goes back to the inn, and he's there, the guy that works at the inn. And so she's like, hey, I want to talk to you. And he's like, oh, because you're an heiress that is, you don't think we have internet here? We might not have service, but I can still look you up. He also knew that she had a fiance. So it's like, oh, sir, excuse me, why are you so mad? Like, this isn't your girlfriend. Also, don't treat a woman like that. And then it's like, she can do what she wants. And she is trying to make herself a better person. So, where are you coming from? Do y'all see those fireworks again? And she's like, I have to deliver this one letter because this is the whole point that my dad said that I could own the company if I delivered this letter. And the fiance is like, whatever. And she's like looking through her box of letters that have all the letters from the years before. And she's like, I can't find the letter. And he's like, babe, seriously, do you still like care about that stuff? Like, do you even think that matters? Like, your dad is such like a, he cares too much. He's so stupid, like blah, blah, blah. And she's like, how dare you? You talk about my dad like that? Like, how, that's just, like, you're mean. It's mean. So they stop, and she's like, take this back. I don't even want it anymore. And he throws down his ring. She throws down her ring, and he's like, babe, seriously, how are you gonna get back to Snow Falls? And she's like, the way that I got there. And then she marches onto the bus that just happens to be at the exact same gas station that they're at, and then rides her ass back with the letters to Snow Falls. Prince Inn is there, even though he was a dick to her, and she should be like, yeah, well, you. She's not. She's like, so, whatever. And he's like, hey, where's your fiance? Bet he's waiting in the car outside for you. And she's like, no, he's not. I don't know where he is. He's probably back at New York by now. And he's like, yeah, I doubt it, whatever. And she's like, but really. Beep boop. Then Santa comes out to the party, and he's like, oh, it's Santa Claus. And he starts giving gifts. And then he starts to read this letter. And you're like, why is Santa reading a letter? And he's like, oh, ho, ho, ho. This is from my partner. And he wanted to read this on Christmas Eve. So I'm like, this for some reason, I don't know. And he says, I want to give my inheritance of the company to my daughter. And then the girl's like, oh my God, it's you. I was supposed to deliver the letter to you the whole time. And he was like reading the letter, and it was really sweet and nice, and he said more stuff. And then she was like, but I left. How did you know I was going to get back? And then Sue, her confidant, slipped out of the side. That's not her name. And she goes, we didn't, but we had faith. And then her dad is behind her, and he's like, oh, I'm sure glad you did. I don't know what I would have done. And then she turns around and gives her dad a really big hug, and she's super happy. And she gets the Christmas inheritance because she stayed in Snowfall for 4 days. And met a cute boy, and then broke it off with her fiance. And then cute boy, in boy, she turns around, he's there, and she's like, you're still here? And he's like, yeah, I wanted to get a Christmas dance from whatever. And she's like, it'd be my pleasure. And I'm like, bitch, he was really mean to you. And like, you shouldn't give in that easy. And then they kiss, and I was like, boo. So 2 out of 5 Christmas balls would go to the Christmas inheritance because it is semi-entertaining, but you could definitely do laundry during it.